So excited for today. So, welcome everyone. I'm so glad you're here. And so, before anything that we do today, I just want to check in because yesterday was a lot in the best possible way, of course, but we talked about, um, why you might still feel stuck. Why, even though you know all the things and you know better and you've learned them all, um, why you might still feel that way. We talked about your nervous system, how it's running your reality without your permission. We talked about the spiral of awakening and why, you're not necessarily going backwards, you're just coming around the spiral at a new person with a new insight, with new learnings. Um, so essentially you're going deeper. You're not ever regressing. And then we did the exercise, the one where we picked the person that drives you the most crazy. And we found some ways that you do the exact same thing. So I want to know, since yesterday, what came up for you? What, landed, what shifted, maybe something that you heard in a different way. Um, or maybe like really thought you pondered on some things. And I know some of y'all weren't here yesterday, so but if you're feeling brave, go ahead and drop it in the chat. If anything landed or shifted, or like you had a different um opinion. Let me turn off my notifications too, because we don't want those going off. And that's okay if I put you on the spot too. So, you know, if you're watching the replay, just sit with this for a moment. Like what kinds of things that you heard differently? Or maybe in the exercise, like, do you want to go into that exercise and pick a few more things and start to dissect them? Um, but like, what are you noticing? Like that awareness, it's not a small thing, it's not nothing. It's actually kind of the beginning of everything, because you cannot change what you cannot see. And yesterday we started to see, right? And so today we're going to take that seeing and we're going to bring it all the way back into your body, into your decisions and your daily life. So day one was the awareness. Day two is where it becomes your everyday life. So before we go in, we're just going to take a moment to regulate first, because everything I'm about to teach you is going to land differently in a regulated body. It's going to land better than in a stress one, obviously. So let's get you there first. So I want you to go ahead and sit up tall. Stack your ears over your shoulders. So just kind of straighten up your spine. Imagine that there's like a string pulling up the top of your head, just lifting the crown of your head just a bit. Slight shift. And then try to position your shoulders over your hips. Soften your jaw, unclench your teeth. If it's safe to do so, you can close your eyes or just have a soft gaze. And now I want you to take a breath in for a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and just hold it for a few seconds. 2, 3, and exhale for 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And again, take a breath in. 2, 3, 4. Hold for a couple seconds. And exhale for 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And just feel your feet on the floor. You can continue breathing in that way. And feel the weight of your body in your chair. Just dropping right into your body. Go ahead and notice what shifted. This is not spiritual concepts and this isn't woo, this is your nervous system moving from that survival into presence, from sympathetic into parasympathetic, which we talked about yesterday. And presence is where everything, we're about to talk about actually lives. Yeah, neck and shoulders soften. So you cannot make aligned decisions from a dysregulated body. We talked about this yesterday. Like you can't connect deeply from a contracted nervous system. You can't live this work from a place of survival. So we start here every single time. One breath, one dropping in, one getting still in our body. So I wanted to start today with two words that I think are going to change the way you understand yourself. And that's coherence and congruence. So, a lot of people haven't even heard these words used in this way, but once you understand them, you basically can't unsee it. So, coherence is going to be your internal system working together. It means your thoughts are matching your feelings, your heart and your mind are aligned, and your nervous system matches your intentions. So, when you're coherent, you feel clear, you feel settled, you feel like yourself again. And congruence is the outer life that matches your inner world. So it means that what you say matches what you do. How you show up matches what you believe. Your actions match the values that you say you have, right? So when you're congruent, your life feels like your life, right? It's honest, it feels real. And so where this kind of gets interesting is most people are living in a state of neither. Like they have internal conflict and external misalignment. And that gap between what you feel inside and how you're actually living, that's where anxiety is going to live. That's where stagnation lives and where exhaustion and the stuckness lives. And it's not because there's something wrong with you. Again, we talked about like your hardware and like your software not, matching up yesterday, but it's because your system is, constantly trying to hold two incompatible things at once. And, in what you know to be true and like how you're actually living, your nervous system feels that tension every single day. So, what congruence looks like, you know, in real life, you might say that you want more peace and you actually create space for it. You say you want deeper connection and you actually show up present with the people, the person you're in front of. Or you say you want change and your daily choices actually reflect that. So incoherence, which is what a lot of us are living in right now, is, you might say that you want peace, but then you keep saying yes to things that continually drain you. Like this is something I went through for a long time because, like I was starting up a business and I knew it was my passion. I knew it was my path. And then I kept like picking up shifts and working more. And to the point where I actually had like two full-time jobs, damn near, and running a business at the same time until like, I kept getting the messages, you can't keep going like this, can't keep going like this, can't keep going like this, until like, it just was so draining that I couldn't keep up anymore. Or you might say that you want connection and you're sitting there scrolling on your phone. Or you say you want change, but you keep choosing the familiar because that's safer than what's unknown, right? It's safer than what you don't know about. So none of this is weakness. I just want to say, like, this is literally just a nervous system that's choosing what it knows over what it wants. Because we essentially train our nervous systems to go for the familiar, which the familiar might be dysregulation. It might be constant fight or flight, chronic stress, right? So that brings me into something that I want to teach you that's, it's simple, but it also might be kind of confronting. But this is called the hell yes framework. So here's how it works. Your body knows the answer before your mind ever does. When something is a true yes for you, your body opens, your chest lifts, your energy expands. And when something's a no, your body contracts or your stomach tightens or your energy will drop. So this is not imagination. Like, has anybody ever like walked into a room and you're just like, oh, it's weird in here. I don't know what's going on, but it's weird in here. The energy is weird, right? Like your body has that sense before you even know what's going on. And so this is your nervous system. It's communicating truth before your mind has a chance to talk you out of it. There are so many times where people are like, hey, do you want to help me move? And I'm all like, immediately, my body's like, nope. Or like, I'll have it in my head, nope. And then I'm like, I don't know. And then you like drag it out. And then finally you're like, fine, yes, I'll help you. But, that's not a hell yes. That was my body trying to tell me, like, I really don't want to do that. And, and by the way, no is a complete answer. But, like there's so many times that I just would override it. I would talk myself out of it. And every time you do that, every time you say yes, when your body says no, like you're essentially abandoning yourself. So if it's not a hell yes, your body is already saying no. Every yes out of obligation is going to lower your frequency. Every yes out of fear keeps you in the same timeline. Every yes out of guilt is self abandonment dressed up as generosity. So the thing is, I'm not saying never do hard things. And I'm not saying only do like what feels good, right? I am saying learn to tell the difference between a yes that is aligned and a yes that is in fear. Because they do feel completely different in the body. Like you have an inner knowing, you know all the answers before you even ask the question. So you know the things that are good for you and the things that might not be so good or might drain you. And the more regulated you are, the more clearly you can feel that difference. And that's exactly why we regulate first. So one thing the spiritual community talks about and the conscious community talks about a lot is neutrality. So I want to say like neutrality, like some people actually think this means being positive all the time. Like look at the bright side. And it's not. Because honestly, nobody can be positive all the time. Let's be real. Like life is going to life. It's going to throw you curveballs and you're going to get frustrated and you're going to get overwhelmed and you're going to get triggered, no matter how spiritual and, whatever you are. And this is not failure. Like this is part of being, a human on this earth right now. The goal is not positivity. The goal is to refuse, actually, to let negativity be your default interpretation. I'll say that again. The goal is not positivity. The goal is to refuse to let negativity be your default interpretation. Because think about it, like we're freaking trained to look at the negative. You have a report card that comes out and you have like A, B, C. What's the first one you're going to look at? What's the first thing you're going to think? What are your parents going to look at? That one C. Yeah. So we're trained in society to look at the negative side of things. So what I want you to start doing is actually see both sides of the coin. Stay neutral, because neutrality is actually where your power is. It's not because you're numbing out or because you don't care, but because you're not reacting, like you're seeing both sides to it. And from that place, you can choose. And of course, choosing is everything. Now, on the topic of choosing, decisions. Because I think decisions are one of the places where a lot of people get completely stuck. And the reason why is like, we've been taught consciously or unconsciously that making the wrong decision is like catastrophic. Like we're going to die, right? Like we make one wrong move that could ruin everything and we're going to be stuck in that decision forever. And we tinker and him and haw over all these little things because like we feel like we have to be absolutely certain of the outcome before we act. And so we wait and we think about it and we journal on it and we meditate and pray on it and ask every single person that we know what we should do. And then we don't move. And the truth is, again, you're not afraid of it's actually not afraid of the unknown. It's being afraid of being trapped there in the wrong decision. And that fear, like that specific fear, is what keeps you circling over and over again, the same crossroads over and over. So, what I want you to hear is like, you're never actually stuck. There's only a choice, feedback, and then another choice. Every decision you make gives you information. And if it works, great, right? Like if it doesn't, make another decision. This is, that's not failure. That's how it works. And so if you make more decisions, even say like you have like a 50% success rate, right? Like if you make 100 decisions, at least 50 of them are going to be right. If you make 2 decisions, that's only one right. More decisions equal more right decisions, right? So it's not because you get lucky more often, but because you get better at, interpreting and reading the feedback. You get better at trusting yourself. And you get better at, course correcting more quickly instead of staying stuck in this decision for months. So clarity does not come before you move. It comes because you moved. So let me say that again. Clarity does not come before you move. It comes because you moved. So you don't get to see the whole staircase. You have to walk up each step. And the next step reveals the one after it. Every time. So let's talk about timelines. Because, this is kind of where the spiritual and the practical meet in the most powerful way. We have millions of timelines of possibility. And our timelines are not fixed. So it's not predetermined, it's not set in stone. Your timeline is actually a pattern. It's a pattern of behavior, of belief, your nervous system response that keeps producing the same kind of experiences over and over. So when you change the pattern, you shift to a new timeline. And it's not by thinking differently or visualizing harder or by manifesting more. It's just responding differently. Because if you think about it, like if you keep looking at everything like the world's out to get you, you keep going down the path that the world's out to get you, right? Like everything's terrible, the economy is going to fail, like we're all going to die, right? But if you keep looking at, it is what it is, the world's going to keep going. There's tons of possibility out there. Then you start showing up in a timeline and things of possibility start showing up in your timeline. So by responding differently in the moment, in the body, in real time, and your vibration is your timeline. Like your vibration is your state. So when you pause before you react, you're shifting your timeline. When you choose that aligned yes instead of the obligated yes, you're shifting your timeline. And when you regulate your nervous system before you make a decision, you're shifting your timeline. So it's not like dramatically, not all at once, but consistently, day after day, one moment at a time. That's how real change happens. So the last piece of this section is probably one of the hardest things for all of us to do. Hardest thing I'm going to ask you to do. And that's to release the outcome. Because we all have this, bright and shiny outcome that we all want in the end. And it's not because outcomes don't matter or that you shouldn't have goals or shouldn't, should not care, right? But it's because attachment to a specific outcome keeps you in a contracted state. If you tell the universe, I want $1 million and I have to get it this way, I need this many clients at this time and blah, 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 blah. Like you're blocking off any other possibility than that one possibility. If someone hands you $1 million check, would you be mad at that? Would you be mad that it delivered in a way that like it was just given to you versus having to work your ass off for it? I wouldn't. Right? So a contracted state, like you cannot create what you actually want because it's like gripping like the wheel so hard that it has to go this right exact way on this exact path. And guess what? If you need a detour, like you're going to go right through the construction zone. It's trusting your state more than you can control, more than your control. It's saying, I'm going to show up fully and make the best decision I can and trust that what is meant for me will find me as I become more aligned. So control is going to close you. Trust opens you. And an open system is a creative system. You can see more. And so this is where your life starts to change. So something that I think gets kind of lost in the conversation is what it actually looks like to live from your heart. We still have a mortgage and kids who need you and a relationship that requires presence and, Again, life be life in jobs and traffic and, you know, news and all the things, right? And it does not care how aligned you are, because that's the real question. Like, it's not how to be conscious in meditation or how to feel aligned when you're on a retreat, but how do you live this in everyday life, in the school pickup line, in the moment your kid's melting down and you're already running on empty. This is where this work actually lives. So let's talk about it. We want to make life a ritual, like not as in ceremony or something you do on a full moon and you light your candles and have your crystals out, right? Like ritual is presence. It's doing the ordinary things with full awareness and intention. So maybe you take a moment to sip your coffee on the couch and you actually taste it. Or the way that you walk to your car to get into traffic and feeling your feet on the ground with every step. Or the way you hug your kids. Like, you actually there? Your life changes in these small moments that you're usually rushing through. Like scrolling when you drink your coffee, or uh, being 3 steps ahead in your mind as you're walking to your car, or, you know, thinking about your to-do list. In all the small moments that you usually rush through is like the biggest thing that you can do. So it's not breakthrough, it's not ceremony, it's not, you know, this course. It's in the breath before you react, the pause before you start to scroll. And in the second that you actually feel your life instead of just managing your life. And that's presence, that's frequency, that's everyday quantum in motion. So I'm going to talk real quickly about parenting, because I know, you know, I tend to have a lot of moms and I know, and dads, but I know that parenting is where, you know, some of our work gets tested the hardest. So you can be completely regulated and aligned, and your kid walks in the room and says the one thing that sends you straight back to age 7, like just freaking reaction trigger. And suddenly you're not conscious anymore. You're not an adult anymore. You're your little boy or girl who never got felt safe expressing themselves. And so that's not failure. This is part of the work. This is what I want you to understand. You are not just parenting your child, you are modeling what it looks like to be a safe human being. So every time you regulate before you react, your child's nervous system learns that big feelings are survivable. And every time you go back to repair after maybe you blew up, right? Like, because it happens, your child learns that, you know, relationships can hold conflict and still be okay. And every time you show up present, your child learns that they are worth being present for. So you cannot give what you don't have, right? Like regulation first, then response. Not because you have to be perfect or because you have to be regulated all the time, But when you are regulated, your nervous system like is the greatest gift that you can give your children. And the same is true for your partner. You know, we talked a little bit yesterday about how you can't connect deeply from a contracted state. When you're in survival mode and fight or flight, like literally you can't communicate clearly because your prefrontal cortex is offline, like the blood flow's not there. You can't be intimate when your nervous system's in survival. You can't connect deeply from a contracted state. So regulate first, then reach. So this is the last thing I want to say about living this in real life. There is no true safety. And I know that sounds harsh, but just stay with me. You did not choose to be here in this body, in this lifetime, on this earth for safety. If you know a thing about too about soul contracts, right? Like we're essentially here to learn something. We want to grow. We want to play this on level 10 hard so that we can get the F out of here. We want to learn our lessons. We want our soul to evolve. So you chose it for growth, for creativity, for evolution at a speed that is only possible in a human body on this planet right now. And yeah, growth's not comfortable. It sucks sometimes, it's not supposed to be. And the discomfort you feel when you're at the edge of something new, like that's not a stop sign. It's actually a sign that you're exactly where you're supposed to be. Real safety is not life just staying the same because things can change at a moment, right? Real safety is trusting yourself no matter what happens, what changes. And that trust is built on one regulated moment at a time. So we're going to do a small exercise. So if you have one, grab a pen. And this one's going to be a little bit different than yesterday. Because yesterday we looked at the pattern, and today we're going to look at who you are becoming. So I want you to write this at the top of your page. The version of me who lives this every day. And then just finish the sentence. Like, what do they look like? How do they start their morning? How do they respond when they're triggered? How does he or she make decisions? How do they show up for their kids? How do they show up for their partner or for themselves? And you want to write it in the present tense, like not they will, but they do or does, or I am, as if he or she already exists. Because she does. He does. They're not a future version of you. They are the version of you that is already here right now, waiting for you to choose them so that they become the default. So just write it all down. I'm going to give you a few minutes. we're going to come to a stopping point. And I want you to read what you wrote. And you can always go back and add more, but just read what you wrote already. And I want you to notice, does it feel like fantasy or memory of someone you already know? Because I think for most of you, this person feels familiar because he or she is not new. They are just who you were before the patterns were layered on top, before the conditioning, before the fear. So you're not becoming someone new. You're just remembering who you've always been. And that's the whole point of this work. So I just want to take the last part of our time together today and talk about what comes next. Because those 2 days, as powerful as they have been, are just the beginning. We've touched the surface of something that goes so much deeper. And so I want to tell you about it. And it's not because I'm trying to sell you something, but because I genuinely believe that what I'm about to share with you is the next right step. And it's called Everyday Quantum. So, Everyday Quantum is a 12-week life course experience for the person that's done just knowing, but ready to actually embody. You've done the work, the healing, the breath work, the inner excavations. You understand consciousness, energy, and you've had probably some breakthroughs already, but something is still not clicking in your daily life. And that gap between what you know and how you live is exactly what Everyday Quantum is built to close. So it might be best if I share screen here so you can get a visual of it. I know people like visuals. So this is what the course covers. So week 1, we're going to talk about why you're not broken. We're understanding the system you were given. So again, it's not your fault you were wired this way. We have different neurotransmitters, different levels of, serotonin and dopamine and all the things, right? Like implanted inside of us, when we were born. And so we start where we started yesterday, essentially, like understanding the nervous system you were given, the wiring, generational patterns, compassion as a starting point. We'll do some exercises to like actually begin to give ourselves compassion. Week 2 is how your reality is being created. So this is how we go deeper into patterns and programs, like where they come from, how they become automatic, why you keep attracting the same experiences over and over. We're going to go into the full teaching of perception as projection, talk a little bit about, Maslow's hierarchy of needs and spiral dynamics, and what level are you actually operating from. Week 3 is your mind, your thoughts, and your reality. The thought breakdown, where thoughts actually come from. Conscious versus subconscious mind. Observer effect, why awareness alone begins to change everything. Neuroplasticity, how to actually rewire your brain through consistent practice. Then week 4, we're going to talk about what reality actually is. This is where we go quantum. Observer effect in physics, everything is energy, including you. Biofield, etheric fields, toroidal fields. We'll talk about coherence and incoherence at the energetic level, your vibration as your timeline, like full teaching here. We go deep. Week 5 is actually one of my favorite weeks. It's who you actually are. We'll go into consciousness versus awareness, subtle bodies, physical, emotional, mental, etheric, chakras, psychological and energetic centers, your clairs, how you actually receive information, how you're multidimensional, the light body, the Merkaba. Week 6 is what you came here to actually do. So soul contracts, they have 7 agreements. We talk about your karma, your gifts, your creation, your soul destiny, past lives and ancestral patterns, angels, guides, beings of light, and the teaching that ties it all together. And I touched on this yesterday, but no one's coming to save you. Like you are the one. Week 7 is how you actually change. So this is embodiment, congruence, and coherence, reparenting your inner child. We're going to bring you back to your younger self. The Hell Yes framework, decisions and movement, releasing outcomes, willingness as the only requirement for ascension, which we also touched on. Week 8 is making life the ritual. We want to bring this into everyday life. We want to bring the 5D consciousness into the 3D reality. So we'll talk posture, spine, frequencies, heart brain coherence, parenting, partnering, working from awareness, hermetic, harmonic principles, protecting your energy through discernment. There's no safety, and why that is actually the most freeing thing you'll ever accept. And then, of course, if you want to go way deep, this is where we start to actually integrate everything. We integrate into this identity. We'll have the energetic blueprints, shadow and light. We'll talk about 12-strand DNA, sacred geometry, pineal gland, pituitary, kundalini, ley lines, and Gaia as a living system. Multi-dimensional living, like full energetic blueprint. So we're going to go cosmic by the end of this. So this isn't all, it isn't more information. It's actually integration. It's integrating the things that we learn and know, where everything you've ever learned finally lands inside of your body, the way, and actually becomes the way you live. And again, nobody's perfect 100% of the time. And, this is for you if you've maybe been on the path for a little while, but something still feels like it's missing. Or you understand the concepts, but struggle to live them consistently. or your nervous system's running the show more than your wisdom is. So if you're ready to stop performing awakening and actually start embodying it, you know somewhere deep down that this is your time. And obviously, this is not, a quick fix or a magic formula or a way to bypass the real work. This is for the ones who are ready to go all the way in. So here's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to drop this link in the chat. So you can sit with it. And actually, for my technical people, so you can break it down for yourself. Go look at it, like read it, feel it in your body. Does it feel like a hell yes? Or does it feel like fear dressed up as a no? Because those are two very different things. And you know the difference. And so if you have questions, obviously, I'm always here. But we're doing a beta version of this course, which is going to be the lowest price it's ever going to be, because my betas, I like to have my people go through them, tweak some things, and then they typically get the next class for free, so they can see how it evolves. So beta is always going to be like I think in your best interest, because not only is it lower, but you get to retake it one time. So if you're ready, obviously links in the chat. And if you're not sure yet, that's okay too. Just sit with it. But notice what your body is telling you, because your body already knows. So I'm going to leave you with something before we go. These 2 days, you showed up. Not just today, not just yesterday, but you've been showing up for a long time. And this healing and this work and the quiet moments when no one else is watching, and you choose to keep going anyway. And that willingness is not nothing. Like, that's everything. Because remember, ascension does not require perfection. It doesn't require you to have it all figured out. It doesn't require, waiting till you feel ready. It only requires willingness, a willingness to change. And you have that. You always have. So whatever comes next for you, whether it's everyday quantum or something else entirely, I want you to carry this with you. You're not broken. You're not behind, and you're not doing this wrong. You're someone in the middle of a real shift with a real life, real kids and relationships and anxiety. And you showed up anyways. That's who you are. And that person is more than enough to change everything. So I just want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for trusting me with your time. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day. And I hope to see you guys inside of Everyday Quantum. So much love. Have an amazing, amazing day.